Hey, everybody. We're a little bit late today, Scott. What do you think?
Hello, but we're here, sort
But
of.
we're
We're different.
here.
We're different, but we're here. And we're not fuzzy.
We're not fuzzy. It's great. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Truth Bomb. And hold on one second. That is so
Cool.
cool. We
That
did
worked out
it.
cool.
We
We're
did
on a
it.
little new platform here, streaming live.
Streaming live
Things are working
on
though
my
so far.
platform this time. This is why we've switched places, if you want to know. I guess that's what happens. I
Right,
don't know how
delete.
we switched back. I don't know.
Isn't that funny?
I mean, here, I'll add me. Yeah, I'm still in the same spot. Sorry,
That's all right.
Scott.
You be in the left leader role. That's like
Uh-oh.
the left chair of the airplane, right? The left chair, the pilot.
Exactly.
You're being the pilot
So,
today.
if you've joined us, say hello and make some comments because we really appreciate your comments. We really appreciate any interaction and comments that you have, regardless of what it is. So no slurs. I mean,
No slurs.
within reason, within reason, because we can ban you in 1 second.
We'll ban you.
We can ban you.
We're all about
So
the truth. So,
we're about the
you know,
truth. So if
we're
you
not going to
have
ban the
something to
truth.
share, you never know. So also, Scott, you had something else to share for us, right?
Yeah, do I need to share a different
Yes.
screen
Yep.
here? Let's do
Yep.
share screen. Okay.
Share his screen. We're
Share
gonna we're
screen.
gonna take a look at something. It's gonna be
Window. Okay, so this is gonna put everything in perspective. Everything we talk about on Truth Bomb, everything we do in life, this little video is gonna put everything in perspective.
everything in perspective. Here you go. Ready for your
Ready, roll.
perspective to shift?
And
And
go. Let's see, what if I did this?
I don't hear audio.
Can't?
Nope.
Oh, bummer. Wonder why.
Well,
I can hear it. It's really beautiful. Sorry, everybody. Let's see.
sorry, everybody.
I guess I'll have to narrate.
It's probably better.
We're seeing the world through. Now we're in the cosmic. We're just zooming out, people. Look how small we are. This is a Google, like a Google timeline or Google video or something. We're gonna zoom out. Look, 10 light years.
100 light years. 1,000 light years.
Thousands.
Wow.
Yeah, we're not even done. Milky Way. And then we're just one little tiny galaxy in the local supercluster. This is like all of the universes, a billion light years away. I don't even know what that means. Okay, now we're
Whoa.
going back. We're gonna zoom back now. This is cool. Thousand, 10,000 kilometers. Okay, now we're going back.
It's a little psychedelic.
Now we're back into the person. Now we're
Wow.
not done yet.
Oh.
We're going in.
Uh-oh.
There's the start of life. DNA. Picometers. 10 picometers, whatever that is.
Amazing. Ah, it looks a little familiar, eh?
Nucleus. 1 femtometer. Never even heard of that. All right.
Oh,
Get that off there.
I was like, where did that go?
Stop sharing. Yeah, that was the
Oh
next
my.
video. The next video.
That was a little
Uh,
cosmic.
it,
That
it
was very cosmic.
it's so cool. Like it starts with a person and then you zoom out, right? And I mean, to me, when I watch that, it's just like, oh my gosh, like does does all this shit matter? Does like even anything we talk about, all this crazy stuff, and and sometimes we get a little worked up about it, and we get into it, and we're researching this, and we're trying to reveal the truth, and then it's good, and I think we're trying to stand up for something good, and it is good, but that video just puts everything in perspective,
Yeah.
and you can look at it from
And it looks
whatever
real similar.
we
I just can't get over the similarity
of
of the universe, the cosmos,
to the
versus
cellular.
to our cellular and what that looks like inside of us. So probably had the same creator, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's the next point that I was going to too, is that like whatever faith you have, whatever spirituality you have, whatever connection to everything, to the world, to the cosmos, to our creator who created all of that whole big massive universe thing down to the nanometer, and it puts everything into perspective. And I saw that this weekend. I was in a I just came out of a 3-day uh, heal yourself, heal your life workshop, and they showed that amongst many other things. But so I'm in that very um, grateful, uh, beautiful space right now because I'm still kind of glowing from that thing. And so I wanted to start the show with that and just say, look, you know, we get so easily ground into our day-to-day stuff, and that's the reality, and that's fine. But boy, does it help sometimes to pull back and to just get this bigger perspective. And at the
Absolutely.
end of the day, and
Absolutely.
we'll see by what I'm talking like next week, but by the end of the day, it's all about love.
Right.
It's all
It's
about
all about love.
connection,
Right.
and yeah, we want the truth, and
We do.
we but it but we
What is
want
the truth?
connection. We want to yeah, we want to be connected to each other in the best way we can. And so sometimes I think my message sometimes comes off like, look, you know, they're out to get us. The global elite's gonna, out to get us. And so we just gotta, prepare ourselves the best we can. And there's not much we can do about it because it's the whole global elite thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
that can get sort of defeatist. So
Right. And then that's not true either. Like
no, it's
you
not
can
true either.
only let them get you if you allow them to get you.
Right.
And so you have some personal accountability to that.
Right.
You don't it's not on you can't just sit back and let it happen to you. And I think you and I talk about that a lot now because we experienced that C word thing together in the very beginning, and we both reacted in a whole different way. So it really is about the perspectives and what our belief system was. So it really does stem from that. Anything that you do is from your belief system, and that's how you're going to react, right? So my belief system was more cynical, right? So I was probably more cynical about the whole thing, and you were more
I was
reactive.
I was more
So
fearful,
yeah,
which
you
is
were
exactly what they wanted.
that's right. They
I look
wanted
back
people to be
now
reactive. And
and
so I wasn't. I was sitting there going, let's analyze this. Like my whole brain process is let's analyze, then make a decision, then make, you know, what's happening here, analyze it for a minute. I mean, it wasn't like it was a shootout, it wasn't like somebody was standing there with a gun at me. I would be more reactive if that were happening, if I had imminent danger, like right in front of me. But I didn't feel like that was imminent danger. I felt like it was danger, but I wasn't sure from where, what the source was. And so I had to analyze it. So very different perspectives, and we all have those. We all have different perspectives. And so, when you try to understand, that's when the truth comes in. When you try to understand other people's perspectives and you're able to have a logical and, not fear based, not emotion based kind of discussion and go, okay, here are the facts. What's the data? What's the facts that we know? Because there's lots of facts and data we don't know. And so you have to disseminate that. And how does your brain do that? What are you calling upon in your body to call upon that? What part of your body is disseminating the information? Is it your emotional, spiritual, your logical, physical brain, all of those things? Well, that's what makes us who we are. We use all of those things to make decisions. We use every part of that. So, but you have to understand when something happens, which part calls you forward, which thing comes first, what part of you comes first, your physical body.
Were you in this class with me this week? We talked about all that this week, this weekend.
No, of course you did.
Talked about all that. And really a lot of it was the embodiment of it. And that so often we're stuck up in our heads. Right. And that was my thing. I was in my head where all that fear could hit me. If I'd have learned at that point in my life how to embody and get into my feelings, and this is getting a little whooshy, but it really is important. And you even,
whooshy?
Started out that. Yeah. Whooshy.
I like whooshy. I like that. Let's use that term. I like it. Whooshy. That's good. I love it.
And it's about, being in the body and what are you feeling and where are you feeling it in your body and how does that coming across to people and how are people coming across to you? And this is really the essence. I'm really glad you brought that up because
I wasn't in that class.
When we talk about the kind of stuff that we talk about on the show, it can bring up all that stuff, and if we just stay up in here, we're not using our power. It's really our power, our soul, our, internal feelings that really are going to allow us to make decisions that are best for ourselves and best for the world around us. Wow.
So Scott just gave me the whole thank you for recognizing that's why I'm a life coach. Like, right. So that's my core belief systems now, that we have to understand what comes forward and what part of us do we make decisions off of, and that's how I help my clients, is to decide how are they making their decisions? What are they making them from? In what place? So that kind of rolls into, that is part of my training, and that's why I knew that. So whoever was talking at your thing this weekend also knows that, and you know that, and I know you know that, by the way.
Yeah,
because he was a coach like that as well.
Yeah, but, and I have, and that's the cool thing about it. It's like learning all the time. I embrace learning all the time. I'm learning all the time. I'm
always learning.
I'm moving, in massive ways, because this, move from, I took the COVID shots, I did all the things, that, they said, to do. And then after coming out of that, and I think part of that was to growing through that, like having a lot of time to kind of look inside and kind of see where I was. And I was really open to, I just moved to Montana and, I was open to new possibilities. And when I saw all this stuff coming out after the fact from C19, I was like, wow, we weren't really told the truth in a lot of ways.
It affected so many different systems in our world. It didn't just affect our physical bodies. It affected everything. It affected every part of our systems. It affected our pocketbook.
Changed the world.
It changed everything, and they knew it.
Well,
they had just done a summit about it. Yeah, so you can't tell me that. I mean, it was definitely, So they knew how it was.
They were preparing for it. They were like, prepared. Okay, now we're ready. We've done the test. Let's bring it on.
They prepared, but they didn't prepare us. But they prepared.
Well, and the funny thing is, I think that they, again, I've mentioned this before. They've woken up a lot of people like me, and so it's going to be more
Probably.
difficult, I think, the next time they do it. And boy, are they gearing up. I mean,
They
disease
are.
X, we're hearing about this, the
Right.
WEF, they're in the WHO. Oh my God, I'm gonna have a show, probably next week's show on WHO. Hoo
Who?
hoo. I
Who?
got some stuff on the hoo hoo hoo.
Who are you? Hoo hoo. I
Hoo
mean,
hoo.
yeah, the band hit it
So
right.
so
Anyway.
we are gonna, yeah, that's one of my favorite bands actually. Uh, and so yeah, they we'll see what happens, but a lot of people are ready for them. That's what we want to talk about in this show is just open your eyes, get ready, because
Right.
they're going to come up with new stuff, right? They're going to come up with new ways to scare us, new fear, new tech, new techniques. But
Well, the way to control people is fear-based, always.
they'll have new
You
ones.
fear, I mean, think about even a job that you've had that your boss wants you to do something and you have like a hard no, like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not ethical. And then they scare you with your employment.
Yeah, and
I
that's
mean, it's
serious stuff. I
fear-based,
mean, we've got to
everything.
feed our
Hmm.
families and we've got to do our thing. So it's not trivial. Like this is not a trivial situation. This is,
Definitely no.
for some people, this is catastrophic. Lose your job, lose your income. What are you going to do? You can take a stimulus check for only so long. Then what are you going to do?
Well,
And
right, and that's how they did it. They attacked it on all corners. Like, I mean, they
And the
attacked
thing
us
about
in
this
all
is where,
places.
for me, it became really clear about the global
Hmm.
elite because this was every government in the world, right? So
Every
this wasn't just the US
right.
government or the West or China or whatever, Russia. It was
Correct.
everybody. So this always clear to me that there's somebody at the top of the umbrella that's sort of calling the shots, and yeah, every government, have their own procedures and everything. But how, I mean, when you start talking about these world organizations like the WHO, the United Nations, the WEF, um, it they want to put their narrative in. They want to
Right.
control and rule. And this was a massive way to do this. And they got it done. Like they
Hmm.
showed like, hey man,
Sure
we
did.
shut down the world. But it
That's
also
right.
woke up a lot of people.
That's right. And luckily for me, I believe in above that umbrella, I believe in then there's a next level
There's the next
of
level.
somebody that's over it. And
That's
then
right.
there's a next level. So
Right.
it's always, you know me, I like the level up. I never like to stay at that one level.
Well, let
So,
me let me go into my topic because it fits right in there.
yes.
It's basically about one of the ways that they're going to do it. I want to talk about what I call the dreaded CBDC. Stands for central bank digital currency. And since you guys know that I'm a crypto guy, I fully believe in Bitcoin, in crypto that is the next version of money, of finances. It is
Right.
it is run on a thing called the blockchain, which allows this decentralized version of money. Because what we have now is a centralized version where the central banks of each country basically control the currency. They print the currency, they distribute it, they control it, right? And then they move it into the banks, and we're controlled by this money that is controlled by a central authority. Bitcoin and crypto is decentralized, which means that nobody controls it, nobody runs it. It's run, on a network of hundreds of thousands of computers, which allows the currency to be freely owned and transferred to anybody you want within seconds around the world. That's what crypto is all about.
Hmm.
So but it's basically technology. It's a new technology, right, of
Yeah.
money,
Yeah.
and it's a
You-
decentralized new technology that came from the people. And Sandy and I are going to be talking about the Constitution and about how the American Constitution really was this amazing tool that was created by the people for the people. And this
Correct.
is what crypto and Bitcoin are all about. And so, of course, if that were to happen and to take over, that would take away all the power and the control that governments and
Oh,
big
yeah.
business and big banks have over your money, which is one of the biggest things, other than maybe your health, which is controlled by big pharmaceuticals. The next area is money. So they don't want to lose that control. So what they're doing though is they understand the technology of blockchain that allows this sort of it's a better technology for moving money back and forth and around the world. They're like, oh, this is a good technology, but we want to control it. So we're going to create a central bank digital currency based on the blockchain, just like blockchain, but it's not going to be decentralized. It's going to be owned by us. It's going to be controlled by us. That's what a CBDC is. It is probably, other than the next area, which might be a digital ID, or whatever way they can control our actual physical body and our movement, through the world, is through our money, and they want to control it the best they can, and they're going to use the new technology to do this. So there's an author named Carol Roth. She's New York New York Times best-selling author. Her recent book is called "You Will Own Nothing," and basically, I don't know if you've ever seen this meme. I'm gonna roll this up here and see if I can share my screen again. Oop, nope, not that. Present, share screen. Go to window. There we go. Boom. Okay. Have you ever seen this meme? It's like this smiling guy says, "You'll own nothing and be happy." This was said by by Klaus Schwab, the WEF, and he basically what they're saying is that they're going to control everything, right? And you're just going to rent. You're not going to own anything, but you'll be happy. You're going to eat bugs. All the thing.
To be happy.
Yeah.
Eating bugs and have nothing. Well, they ride around in their yachts around the world. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
Sure, okay, sounds good.
Sounds good.
Not. Well, here's the reality. Here's the deal.
What's the deal?
Here's the deal. What truth could really be is we really don't own anything. Like we kind of don't. We're kind of renting and leasing it anyway. You can't take it with you. So we kind of don't own anything. If you think about it, like the lands that when we came over, were they our lands? Nope.
All right. So yeah,
so we kind of don't own anything.
We kind of don't, but
we kind of don't. I mean, we're paying taxes on things that we don't really own, which is insane. And that's a whole part of the system. That's a whole nother conversation. But we don't own anything. I mean, think about it. Like I think I own my car. Like I paid it off. It's paid in full. I drive it around. I don't have a car payment. But guess what I have to have on it? Title. So I have to pay property tax and tags on it every year. I have to get new tags. I have to have insurance on it. So they have figured out ways to make us not really own anything. So I don't really own that car. Like I own it, but I only own it if I take a tag off of it and set it in the yard or a barn and never drive it again. It's the only time I'll own it. For real, is when it sits there. But then I'll have to pay property tax on the property that I have it sitting on. So am I still owning it? Not really. So this is where the systems, that's why we're going to go backwards, or we're going to try to go backwards in this show sometimes, is to show you the beginnings. Because how did this happen? How did we get here? How did we get here? Bitcoin came out and the government was like, oh, it's not legitimate, blah, 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 blah. How can you have a currency based on a computer program? This is crazy. And then they turn around and they go, hey, we'll have our own then. Oh, wow, this is good. This is a good idea because now we can control the people. So
it's all about control. I mean, that's why even banks are going to lose control as crypto gets bigger.
Right.
So that what they're
You don't
doing
even really own your money. Like my money is sitting in a bank that the bank owns.
the bank owns it. Yeah, I mean, and
The
this
bank
is the
owns
thing
it.
about Bitcoin is, and we'll see if it ever really happens the way that it was meant to when it was created, which is to really have total freedom. I don't think
Right.
it'll ever totally get there because the governments just won't allow it. What we can hope for though is that there's some semblance of that it's better for us, that it's a little bit more
Right.
efficient and so on, and that for some of us radicals, there'll probably always be a place where we can really own it. I mean, for me, part of my whole excuse me, my whole theory and thesis is that I want to own Bitcoin in case the world shuts down. Right now, it's still outside of the system, and
Right.
really, all Bitcoiners could form a community and trade Bitcoin for goods and services right now
Right.
because they don't control it, right now.
Mm-hmm.
Will they eventually? I don't know. But I just want everyone to know that you're going to start hearing this word CBDC, and
Absolutely.
it's because it's starting to come into place. About 90% of the countries are all working on their own digital
Yeah, that's why
digital
they're
currency.
and look at your own merchants that are around you that say we do not take cash. So they're already setting up the system
Right.
to where you can only use something electronic. So think about that. You
And
know,
it's
think
gonna be
about
some other
that.
name. They're gonna call it some really fancy name that's gonna make it sound really good. In fact, what they're gonna do is they will entice you to sign up for this digital currency, and they'll say, "Look, we're gonna give you free money." So the next stimulus check, they'll put this out there and they'll say, "You can only get this money if you sign up for this
Oh
digital
yeah. Oh
wallet,"
yeah. That's a
basically.
good way to
It's
do it,
controlled
right?
about them, right? So, people are gonna do it, like,
They
if
are.
you have no choice,
They
like,
will. Free money, they're going to do it.
right, I probably will do it, but I'm gonna have a back door. I'm gonna have a back door, and I suggest you all look into Bitcoin so that you have a back door too. But yeah, if it's free money, and if I can't, because that's the one thing about Bitcoin right now, right? It's like I can't go to the store and buy bread with it. It
Right.
would have to take something radical, right? To like, I would have to set up a whole new community, or there'd be something in the future. But right now, we still have to have our dollars or our euros or whatever to buy things.
Correct.
But it is right now, the good thing is that if you're saying, well, yeah, well, then why do I even really worry about Bitcoin? Well, right now it's like digital gold, right? So right
Right.
now it's basically put your money in there, save it so that it's like digital gold. At some
Oops,
point, you
sorry.
might have to pull it out into fiat, but maybe at some point there'll be a new crypto-based currency. We'll
Right.
see.
Sorry about that. I was adding something to what I was going to present, and it kind of went on the screen before I could present it. Sorry about that.
So this is another way that's going to control. It's starting to happen. One of the newest things is there's a system called the SWIFT system, which is the current way that uh, banks and governments move money back and forth
Right.
between countries. The
Mm-hmm.
SWIFT system is really how the backbone. So if you send money from one country to another, it's used this SWIFT system. They have now adopted to become the sort of global CBDC connector. So now that they're in the game, what they're saying is that you guys go create your CBDCs for each country or whatever. We'll handle connecting all that together. And so again, it's just another big pathway to this. So it's starting to happen fast. Just know that here's the worst picture that I can paint for it. That's probably worse, but when they can do
Worse.
this, when they can control, yeah, worst, when they can control your money, not only can they control like you can get it, but they're also going to say, look, we want you to spend it, and if you don't spend it, it'll expire. I mean, again, this is
That's insane.
programmable money.
That's
This is now
insane.
money that they can control in every situation,
That's
every
horrible.
situation. Also, they can monitor now at the federal level every transaction. Now, right now, every transaction that we all use goes through a bank and it's recorded and so on. But there's a barrier between the federal government getting that. Can they get it? Yeah, but it's not instantly like in their system.
Right.
The CBDC will be instantly in the federal government database. Every transaction will be monitored.
Yep.
If they decide that cows are not good for the environment and you go to a burger shop to order a burger they will be able to deny that transaction. They won't let you eat beef because it's not good for you, and it's not good for the environment. So they'll let you go buy this pre-approved thing, but they aren't going to let you buy a hamburger. Now I'm just making that up, but it's a very good illustration of what will happen.
Absolutely.
They will control all your transactions. They will monitor it. They will say, are you being a good boy or girl? And if you're not, we're going to pull out a little bit of that money, or we're going to only allow you to, buy this approved thing.
It's crazy.
So when you start to hear about this, just think no. It's going to come out. It's going to sound rosy, but think no. It's up to all of us to. This is the next. Whether you're into crypto or anything,
is it up to us?
Has nothing to do. It's up to us to be able to be aware.
To be aware, right? It's not up to us how they're going to.
They're going to do it, and
they're going to do it, and then you're not going to be able to buy from this and this and that place because the merchants will fall in line with it. So don't think that your little mom and pop shop down the street isn't going to fall in line because they'll have to make their money.
Yeah,
they will have to for their livelihood. So when it comes down to people having a survival mindset, money is the number one thing they think about. So think about that. You think, no way, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to rebel against it. I'm going to do this. Wait until it happens, and then you'll see how you react. So unless you're thinking about it and it's up here, you will have a survival mindset if you don't prepare for things to happen and have a plan for how you're going to do it. So that's the point
of corruption that'll seep in there too, because with the C-19 stimulus checks and all of the money that the government was going to push into the businesses, then you had all these businesses that fraudulently tried to grab all that money, they said, we've got all these employees and we've got all this and all that, and they made all these loans, these really low interest rate loans to all these businesses, and so many there were and again, there were a few individuals that tried to take advantage of it, but it was these little businesses that would pop up, and they would then try to make it easy for you to get the funds for your business. As a business owner, I got lots of calls and emails and texts from these people saying, "Oh, we can help you get you this government money that you're owed." And because so money is the number one way. I mean, it was in C-19. It's like stimulus checks. I mean, they made that a big deal. Like, don't worry, we're going to shut the world down, but we're going to.
Some of us were fortunate that we didn't have to worry about that because there were still, ways for us to make money. And that's why it's really important for you to have at least 3 streams of money and income coming in from somewhere. So those are the things that we want to touch on in our Freedom Life 3.0 program. That's where we're headed with that. This is a huge discussion, and I know you just scratched the surface on it, Scott. So all right, well, was that it for your time of discussion? And
yes,
I apologize for my shared screen earlier. I'm going to talk about HAARP, and I didn't know anything about HAARP. Do you know anything about HAARP?
I didn't know anything about HAARP. No.
Don't know anything?
You told me about it.
Let's pop it up here. The only reason I heard it is I heard little, I'm all over social media. So I see things pop up in Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere. I mean, everywhere. So you name it, it pops up. And this was like last week, there was some northern lights, I guess is what they call them. But they're actually auroras, and we saw them over here. Like it was all the way down here to Kansas,
which I don't know if it ever happened like down in the south.
Never.
Because up here in Montana,
that's why it's
we get them every
year. It's called
year.
Northern Lights for a reason. It's usually in the north,
right,
or in the north where I'm from. But so it was amazing. Like I had. Several different people show me over in, England. A guy showed me a picture he took outside his window. So very interesting. So here,
this beautiful.
So everybody was like, wow, that was amazing. What happened? Well, there was supposedly a solar storm, right? So there was a solar storm that caused this to happen because, that doesn't usually happen.
Right.
But of course, other people have to go, what's really happening? Where did it really come from? Well, what was coincidental is that HAARP, HAARP, and I'm going to add that to the screen right now, is a program. Nobody knew much about it until now.
Right.
And so if you look up HAARP, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, they were actually doing a test from, I think, the 8th to the 12th. And I'll have to look that up again. But I just want you guys to, I'm just putting this up here. I'm not going to read it to you because, of course, that's silly to read something to you on what it is. It's important for you to understand what it is. And then the location of it is Alaska. So, and initially HAARP was funded by the U.S. Air Force and the Navy, okay? And the University of Alaska. And it was under DARPA, which you know about DARPA, right, Scott?
Yeah.
It was built by BAE
They
Advanced
created the internet.
Technologies. Now we have BAE here because I'm on a East Coast. And it was to analyze the ionosphere and investigate the potential for developing ionospheric enhancement technology for radio communications and surveillance. That's what it was created for. But as always, when they do projects or they do anything, it might just affect us. And so a lot of people were saying, well, wow, what a coincidence. I'm going to remove that. What a coincidence that HAARP was doing this test on auroras, and then all of a sudden the whole, northern hemisphere to, further down could see auroras. But then we have this. Let me share this screen, of course. Okay, stop sharing that. And I got to start sharing this. Hold on one second. Share. Okay. So this one, of course, USA Today, which, I don't know if you follow USA Today or not. It doesn't matter because it was all over that, hey, they were in no way linked to the solar storm or the auroral activity seen around the globe. The HAARP director said in a statement. And an artificial air glow visible 300 miles from the facility, but that's not the same thing as an aurora. So she is saying this is, yeah. And I mean, she goes on to say why it couldn't have been. Okay. So, I mean, it is pretty neat. A solar storm that caused the lights. Okay. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Oh, here, I'm going to stop sharing. Auroras are naturally caused. Like nobody is back there, causing the auroras. So what do you think about that? I'm just curious what other people think, because you can go down a rabbit hole so fast on this kind of stuff. Like, yes, they're, creating that. And then the HAARP director is saying no. And because of, unfortunately, our confidence in media and our confidence in people telling the truth, has been skewed. So,
well, USA Today, is
yes,
I just lump it into the mainstream media. I call mainstream media. Just take everything with a huge grain of salt. I don't necessarily. I mean, I do watch it occasionally, but I get most of my information from the internet, which might sound stupid at first, but I've got to find it an independent, as independent as I can live with, or I think, I can live with. And so I do. Now it takes a lot more work, right? You've got to go in there and wade through all the crap. But I know it's not like I'm trying to find sources that are not owned by corporations, because all the main media are owned by corporations, which have a narrative in there, right? And the government also influences, what they can say or can't say. And they're just trying to get, eyeballs and clicks. Now, people on the internet are too. They're trying to get eyeballs, but it's a whole different ball game. And so you got to find people you can trust. You've got to consume their content, read
That's right.
their newsletters, watch some of their videos, and
Mm-hmm.
look. Now, you will probably find that they have some reason or some bias, because we all do. We can't get away from
Right.
that. But is it
Right.
controlled by a governmental narrative or for a corporate narrative? To
Right.
me, that's the difference. If some dude over here has got a conservative or a liberal bent or whatever, and that's the type of content they're going to put out, I get that. But it's their own ideology. It's their own, it's not controlled by a government. So for me,
Right.
that's what I search out. So the first thing I
Right.
did was I went to the HAARP website. And of course, they say the same thing, but at least it's not coming from a third party, news organization. And of course, HAARP is saying the same thing, that it's not, was not, the Aurora was not caused by them, and that's fine. But we don't really know. Anything that was created by DARPA, you got to take it out with a grain of salt, because it's the Army, and they have a lot of secrets, and rightfully so. They don't want,
Right.
every country doesn't want their secrets, national
Well,
security
my
secrets let out.
takeaway from it was I'm glad people enjoyed the lights. It was pretty. Glad you got your pictures. And really, I mean, even if they were causing that, I mean, it does make you wonder what they're doing, if they did cause it or not, but it's always naturally been caused, or has it? Okay, so you can go a couple levels up. Like, have the Northern Lights always been a solar storm? So we don't know.
Man-made. I'll tell you.
We don't know, because
So
Antarctica has lots of secrets there too. So there you are.
one thing that is a little bit worrisome, sort of on the more scientific side, is that these solar flares, storms, which scientifically we know they happen, which do cause these auroras. Now, whether I don't know specifically if how the lights that we see that are created. I just know that there are solar flares that affect our communications and all of our electronics. And so one of the things that came up from this is they were really nervous about the solar flare. They, as the scientists, because it was one of the largest, obviously. I mean,
Right.
okay, so I'm now taking it from whatever the scientists say. It was one of the largest storms, and that's why it actually reached further down
Right.
south.
And do you remember that movie? Now here's where the problem comes in. Like, these are facts. Like, these are scientists, these are facts. But then you add Hollywood into there,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So add Hollywood, who's written a script about them hearing, communications from the 40s. What movie was that? There was a movie where the solar flares made people be able to hear communications from way back, and
Oh,
then,
interesting. From
right,
outer
right,
space. I don't know,
right. And
but
so they were one. I wasn't it the Jodie Foster movie?
well, that was the
Was it
one.
the
I thought that was the
Jodie?
contact one where she went back.
Didn't they hear something on that?
There was something to do with that,
Right.
where
I
they were
think it
hearing
was that
stuff.
movie. I think it was that movie. But I mean, so we're always getting information. So I mean, look, my memory recalled that movie. Like, there's a movie out there that has those things. And so that's why people, I think, go into conspiracy theory land, is because half of the time you're watching television, you're in fantasy land. Like, this is somebody's created that reality. And now it's become part of your reality because you watched it.
Yeah,
Believe
you
it or
can't help
not.
it. It hits your
Right.
subconscious. You can't help
Right.
but take that in there, and
That's
we
right.
love it. Like, we're built for stories. So Hollywood, which is just stories, we can't help but absorb that and want it, and
Right.
we crave it. We love it. I mean, I love
Right.
sci-fi. It's one of my favorite genres.
Right.
And it's
So
like,
wouldn't it be cool if, hey, yeah, they're creating these aurora. I mean, but
oh,
why?
yeah.
I mean, again, because of those movies, because of those stories, it becomes part of your consciousness, not your subconscious. Okay?
Okay,
So when you
so
watch
let's
something, I mean, you
let's
are
I
taking in and filtering in that information, whether it
okay.
be fact or n-
This is
not.
a technique. This is a tool that the
Mhm.
global elite uses. They know this, right?
Yes.
So they know that the population is affected by stories. They know that there's Hollywood out there. I mean, just like we're
They
talking about, they know
created
all
it.
this too.
They
So,
created
so
it.
one of the ways that they can exert their power is to introduce this confusion, which is if you just introduce some of these theories and stories and throw them out there, it's going to get mixed in with the reality, the science, whatever. But no one's really going to know because there are a certain group of
Right.
population that will literally believe anything they hear and
Well, they came
maybe
out with that
march
movie
march a
Pandemic
capital.
before the pandemic. They came out with a
Right.
movie
I mean,
right before, and
yeah.
then they didn't
And
release it. Like they created
well,
one
we've all seen those pandemic movies. They've been around forever. So again, the whole
that was
lockdown
helping the fear
thing
base.
was
Mm-hmm.
helping the fear, and
Mm-hmm.
they all know this. So this is just a tactic, and it's just the way the world is, right? And it's the way
Mm-hmm.
humans are, and it doesn't take well. I mean, they do have a psychologist and people that sit down and really think through this stuff. It's like, okay, how do we influence people? And Hollywood is a major, major factor
Absolutely.
of this. And if you think about it, if you go back, we saw lots of actors and people in Hollywood and sports figures that said, "Take that
Hey,
vaccine."
put your arm up. Take it. Do it.
our
You know,
favorite, our favorite player
I know. I
did
know.
that.
I could choke
Yeah,
him. Anyway.
yeah,
But again, he just went along with the narrative.
and he
And
got
then he got
paid.
paid for it. So hello, you go along with the narrative, you get paid for it. You don't go
It's
along with the narrative, you get your money taken away. So that's how it works. Exactly what you were talking about a minute ago.
right. That's right.
Even before CBDCs, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I said it wrong. It's all right. Uh, so so it brings me to my next subject. I have two subjects today. So I just wondered what you all thought about the HAARP thing. How about this? How about we don't know if they created or they didn't? Doesn't really matter. Everybody got their phones out and got their pictures and thought it was pretty. So never thought I'd see Northern Lights down here in Kansas or down here in Virginia. Like true. Like never
Right.
thought I'd see that. But hey, I mean, just chalk it up to that. I mean, I don't think we'll ever really know. But keep it on the radar. Like keep it on your radar. Like, interesting. So let's see what happens later as to why that matters or it doesn't. you know. So my next subject, because a friend of mine sent me a TikTok or something, like did you see this? And I was like, what? And she's like, Congress. And I was like, what about Congress? Right. So I don't know if you heard about the story. Let me share my screen that happened in Congress the other day because it's caused a big, huge thing as usual. Let's see. All right. So, did you see this? What happened on, let me look. What happened in Congress the other day? I'm just gonna, I mean, you can go read and I always pull something, oops, nope, wrong one. From a major news source, usually, well, this is from Politico. I don't know how good, I don't really like their tagline, but anyway, the Texas Democrat found herself at odds with, of course,
Marjorie
the
Green. She's always in
MTG is what they call her because she's always stirring the pot for
she's
whatever
radical.
reason. So, what she said is you obviously didn't, read it because of, she talked about her eyelashes. Okay. And so then, it just became a whole, you guys can go watch it. I'm not even going to expound on it. Not really, because it's ridiculous, actually. It makes our Congress look not
Childish.
intelligent and
Childish.
childish. Yeah, it makes us look like teenagers. I don't agree with either. Okay, it's just saying because I'm a moderate again. I don't agree with the way she said that about her eyelashes, and I don't agree what she said back. And what she said back was this crazy tagline that she now wants to make into swag. She wants to make t-shirts with that tagline on it. And she's not sorry for it, because I saw her on an interview where they talked about it, where he brought it up and he's like, well, do you feel? And she's like, no. She said
Oh,
she
she
didn't
won't.
take the words back, so I don't
She
feel
doesn't.
bad. And because they didn't follow the right procedure, you know, they didn't follow the right procedure in telling, you know, MG Teen to stop, you know, MTG, whatever her name is. Anyway, you know, it was ridiculous. And I sat there and I went, wow, that is so crazy. You know, our country's going, you know, I wrote a post about it this morning on my own Facebook, like, this is insane and da 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 da. And then I was like, well, how many times has this happened in history? In history, it was way worse than calling each other names about their bodies. I'm just going to tell you. And here, I'm going to show my screen now, and you're going to be shocked because you obviously have never seen it. And you're like, oh, that's so terrible that she called her a name. Well, this is what they used to do. Canings, stabbings, and murders.
Wow.
In
Yeah.
1856, senator whacked him in the head with a cane. That was the caning. Then another one was, let's see. I don't know. Am I sharing my screen? Yes, I am. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure I am. They carried pistols and Bowie knives on the
Wow.
Congressional floor. The 1850s actually sent their congressmen guns.
Constituents actually sent their congressman guns.
Yes.
Wow.
The fights that broke out didn't usually make it into the newspapers, which themselves faced mobs but there were some exceptions. Okay, in the Civil War, let's see, he killed another congressman. Okay.
Wow.
The murder happened in 1838 when Congress was fiercely divided between the Whigs and the Democrats. Remember, they used to be called the Whigs.
Yeah.
At the time, many members considered an insult to be an insult against the entire party.
Yeah.
Challenging them to a duel.
Nice.
Was
Maybe
therefore
bring that
not
back.
just about, it was all about defending the honor of his party. So
I'm gonna put my money on Marjorie. I think she would kick some ass. I think she whoops some ass.
Yeah, well, okay.
Oh, no.
But what I'm saying is, he wouldn't take back what he said, and he refused the letter, and then they had a duel, and he died. Okay.
Uh-oh.
I mean, it's crazy.
Kids are getting out of control here.
Okay. So also, the year before Graves killed Silly, a representative in Arkansas insulted the speaker during the debate, and the speaker responded by murdering him with a Bowie knife. The speaker of the House.
Wild West, Arkansas. Well, what do you?
Okay, 1838.
Wild West, 1838.
1838. Okay.
You have shamed me, sir. Therefore,
Congress responded with an anti-dueling law. Finally, then 1839, anti-dueling. Okay.
Oh, okay, that's the thing. We need to bring that dueling law back.
No. So Brooks. Okay, in 1856, you'll see. Of course, you know, Kansas was a free state. Yeah, he chose to beat Sumner rather than risk breaking the anti-dueling law because he argued dueling would subject me to legal penalties. So he beat him up.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so this is how they used to do it in the House, everybody. So you guys
right there on Capitol Hill, right there on the lawn.
Oh my gosh.
Little pace it out.
It was crazy.
17 paces or whatever it is. Okay,
so, you know, of course, you know, the Civil War, the Southern states seceding. I mean, you know, all of it. I'm just trying to give you context to our country. Okay. The context is this.
Been there,
they used to kill each other. They used to beat each other, cane them, beat them, shoot at them. That is insane. That isn't like, did y'all know that? Like, that's like less than 200 years ago. 200 years ago, that's how the House acted.
So now
we do not agree.
Now they're getting bent out of shape about somebody's eyelashes. You talk
Right?
about my eyelashes. Duel.
Right. Well, and
Come on.
about her blonde-haired, whatever the tagline is,
Oh my
blonde-haired
god.
beach body something or
So
other.
so Marjorie said something about the African American women, that she had something about her eyelashes, and then that one said that she was the blonde something something, and oh wow, just
Well, here and of
playground stuff.
course, the whole internet's, blown up about it. Um and it's really crazy. I mean, you yeah. That's what I'm saying. You guys have to look some truths about our country. Like, we used to shoot each other over these things. Like this was no, so I mean, throwing an insult about your appearance is not allowed, right? It's in the rules. And so I
Well, it isn't. That's the
agree.
thing.
I
There's a
do
rule
agree with
against it.
her that she should not have said that. And I do agree that they didn't follow the the right proceedings that they're supposed to when that happens. And so it was political because they wanted her to stay on the floor, the one that originally said something, because of the votes that they were going to do that day.
Mm.
So if it's that easily, like, we're just not going to follow these rules. Well, they're just not following rules. They're just not following rules. But thank goodness that there's still not duels out there. And, you
Right.
bring your Bowie knife to stab one of your house members. I mean, that's insane. And you have to remember that's what are trying to introduce to you is about our history. And we were a pretty violent nation. Like I mean, when you fought about something, you fought with hands, with physically. Like, it wasn't just, in words on the internet, I mean, it was fought out. I'm going to, you know, clock you one, so, everybody had a weapon that they were good at with or something because they had to protect their possessions. They had to protect their lands. They had to fight for a land or not, or, you know, that's what people forget is that these little word spats are nothing compared to, I think, what we're about to see. I hate to be a foreshadowing, but we are gonna see some actual physical altercations escalate, I think, if we don't do something wise.
Well, I do think that
I think
that if
it's gonna be on our land. We're gonna have to do exactly, I believe that, you have to protect yourself somehow. But I hate that we're gonna be going backwards. And that is exactly what's gonna happen. We are going backwards.
well,
And
if somebody wants to take away our freedoms, then that's just natural, right? It's been that way
yeah,
forever,
yeah.
and
But
and
right. That's why they did that at the I mean, you be shocked. Violence in Congress. I mean, what? There was violence. Yes, there's violence in Congress. You know, I think the last 100 years it was just always covered up or hidden that that's what happened to somebody in those places in our in the house or
well, and in the
whatever.
newspapers too, they say that our nation is divided and that our elections are really nasty now, but they were nasty
They
in the
always were.
1800s, and
Always were.
we did
Yeah.
have a period where we kind of cleaned that up for a while, but
We
it's
just weren't alive then to know. That's all.
right.
Here's the thing. I was fortunate to be raised by a grandmother that lived through the Depression. So she shared information that I'll need if
Right.
if the power goes out, or if, luckily I listened and paid attention to her. I paid attention to what she had to do and how they had to go without and what was important and not. What was important was the iron in the fire at the bottom of her bed in the wintertime. It was important that they had wood and it was important that they had food. And it was, so those are the things you have to go, what's important, if the time comes and there's no electricity, or something happens on our lands, that takes out everything, what are you going to do? Well, luckily back then, she always called our refrigerator an ice box.
Yeah.
So it's because they got big, blocks of ice, put it
Right.
in, the box, and that's where they kept their food for it to not go bad. So, stock up on your coolers with some where you can get some dry
We'll
ice,
be good
or
up here in Montana for part of the year where we just have our natural ice box, which is just outside.
right. Right. Some places have the natural ice box, but that's what I'm saying. Like I hate to say it, but all this modern technology, if it goes out in one swoop, what are you going to do? You got to start thinking forward,
Well, I think
and
that
you got to think about the past. The past is cyclical. We repeat it. We tend to repeat it as humans.
yeah, and if it
A
they
civilization
always
goes
say
up,
that it
and then they
may
get
not repeat,
conquered and comes down.
but it rhymes. If it
What?
doesn't repeat, it rhymes. So take the lesson from it. I mean, that's the thing. And yeah, I think it's good in today's era to start thinking about some of this stuff that can happen. I mean, if the control that the global elites want, it's their narrative, it's not ours, and it's really not in our best interest for freedom. And that's why we kind of chose this topic, freedom,
Yeah.
because
Well, the reason I'm talking about
freedom
Congress
further
is
stuff.
because at first I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that. And then I looked a little bit further and went, what is the worst thing that happened in Congress before? And then when I saw that they did duels and they murder each other, I'm like, well, that's definitely worse. Like, absolutely 100% worse. Like, hey, we voted this congressman in. Oh, he's got to stand for our whole party. So now he has to die. I mean, really? Like, that's how it went? Like, would you want to take a role as an elected politician, a congressman, if you knew that death was possible? I mean, just think about the mindset of that. Like, you are running on a ticket to win this position so that you can speak for your whole party, but you know that it's possible that you could die doing it.
Well, I think Mike Pence was worrying about that in January 6th. I think Nancy Pelosi was worrying about that.
But that's
So
what
yeah.
I'm saying. You might die when you take this. Like, you could. Like, you could die on the Hill. Die on the Hill, for real. I mean, I think that we are so soft. I hate to say it like that, but we have been so conditioned we've been babied, you know, that we don't realize those politicians really do put their lives on the line, whether it be personally wealth, or their family's safety, their own safety. There are, and to talk like that on the Hill like that is so disrespectful, like, to each other. Like, I don't agree with it at all. Like, I'm just gonna say I don't agree with either party. And then I don't know if you saw, but AOC and Fetterman then got in a little spat about it because he didn't agree how they did it. He didn't agree with it, and then they got in a little spat about it, and so then it became this thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. It's like, he called it the Jerry Springer show. He said,
Sounds like it.
he goes, I have to apologize to the Jerry Springer show because he said this is worse than.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, yeah, but if you put it in perspective, well, it's better than being in a duel and shot or stabbed. I mean, sorry, Fetterman. But anyway. Anyway.
Let's hope it
So
doesn't come to that.
that I just wanted to talk about that because it was like a hot topic, and I was just like, this is crazy. Like, at first, my reaction was, this is childish and crazy and da da da. And then when I look into the history of it, I'm like, well, it could be a lot worse.
Right.
It could have been a lot worse.
Let's
They
hope
could
it
have got
doesn't get like that.
their guns out and shot each other. I mean, I don't know. That's the thing. you know, and I'm not even going to go if you comment about gun rights or anything, that is not where I'm going with this at all. So please don't. But so, you know, that's not something I want to debate either. You know, that's another topic that's, you know, everybody had a weapon back then. Everybody did. So
We'll talk about
obviously.
guns later in the shows. I mean, we'll talk about
We
freedom and
will. We
guns. They
will,
go
but not today.
together,
It's not
right?
today. Not today. We won't chew on that one today. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because it was a hot topic. HAARP was a hot topic last week, and I just want to, you know, be intentional with what you're watching, reading, you know, what's coming into your head. You know, it really does sink into your subconscious. It really does matter. It really does. And that's why I think it's so good to filter out things that are not necessary. Like the HAARP thing, at first I was like, oh, this looks interesting as a topic. And then as I started to research more of it, I was like, doesn't matter. I mean, in the end, like, did they create or didn't they? Well, did you see the pretty lights? Okay, there's your takeaway. like, like, you know, could it mean something further down the line? They're testing out things for us to see things in the sky that are not real, possibly.
Well, the scary
Don't
part
know.
is that I think the scary part of it is that solar flares are really dangerous. I mean, you know, if one of the articles that I found, you know, researching this was that we are not prepared for an
No.
EMP or a solar flare. I mean, which takes out all of our infrastructure, all of our computers and stuff. So
Right.
it's interesting topic. And the question is, maybe on the good side, maybe HARP, you know, their scientific stuff can help research to figure out, well, if a solar flare does come, how can we be better prepared for it? So, you know,
If that's
we
what
just
they're
don't know
doing.
what they're doing, unfortunately,
Well,
necessarily.
right. But
And, you
there's
know,
no sense in wasting your time on going down the rabbit holes on it,
right.
because again, that means that you're taking time away from things that you could be doing to prepare yourself for other things. You
Right.
know, like in the scheme of things, you know, it's like, oh, that's kind of low on the list. You know, I mean, what are you paying attention to? Well, it makes me wonder, you know, this whole Congress thing, you know, was that a distraction for something else that we missed? You know, so you don't ever know. But see, you can't trust your sources. You can't trust some of your sources. So it's really important to not waste too much time trying to find the right source and the right information if it's not affecting your daily life. Like them having that little spat on thing, seems like it doesn't affect your daily life. However, if they're not following the rules in Congress, what other rules are they not following? What other ones? I mean, that was a little one. So, what are the bigger ones? You know, makes you wonder. So, it's just something to think about.
Makes you wonder.
Makes
Well,
you
all right.
wonder.
Uh,
All
we
right, we're going to end
we
this because
we
we're
truced
over.
it.
Yeah. So thanks for the
Thanks for
discussion and
watching.
please comment. And we used a different platforms. That's probably why nobody jumped on, because they were like, what is going on here? So we appreciate you joining us. And I'm going to use your truth bomb ending and see you guys next week.
All righty. Bye. I don't know.
Don't know.
It's not happening.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.